reverse motivation paid off. Because I was at school, the first day, teacher said, right, class, if anybody here can swim, dive in and show me how far. So I dived in and I'd done 7 lengths. She said, Skyner, out of the pool now. One thing we do not like in the school is show-offs, but it's highly commendable that a boy like you can swim that far. How did you learn to swim like that? I said, oh, it was me dad, miss. He used to take me out to sea in a rowing boat, and I'd have to swim back. She said, oh, that must have been difficult for you. I said, no, once I got out the sack, it was easy. And I got this phone call, this Mancunian voice, and I said, all right, can I speak to Gary, please? And I went speaking, and he went, no, it's no Gallagher here. Mike, someone been saying, you want us to help you? What do you want? So I said, well, I want you to boycott Diageo's products. He went, fuck off. He said, our management will cut us for the fucking ankles. We can't do that. So I said, okay, but would you blag it? Would you tell lies? He said, yeah, we'll fucking blag anyone. He said, but if it gets heavy, we're out. So he said, what's the script? So I said to him, well, the Glazers have took over at Man United. You two are mad Man City fans. And if we call a press conference at the Etihad Stadium, which, well, it wasn't then, it was Main Road, and we have some thalidomide victims there in wheelchairs, etc., and we don't tell the press what the press conference is about, the press will think that you two are going to invest a lot of money in Man City. I'll turn up Fox, CNN, CBS, ABC, BBC One, BBC Two, ITV. Everyone will come, you know. And then when the cameras start rolling live, you two will say, well, we're not here about a takeover. What we're here for is that people who like Oasis and who are fair-minded people to not buy their products, you know. And he said, yeah, we'll do that, but if it fucking gets heavy, we're out. And when I rang the chairman of Diageo and told them what we were going to do, and I told them what I've just told you, I said, you know, picture it. Wheelchairs, people who were badly injured, Nolan Liam Gallagher. We're not here about to take over the Man City. We're here to ask people to stop buying these products. And he said to me, you're a bastard. I said, I'm glad we understand each other. I said, now go away and do what you've got to do. And he went away, and by 11:30 that night, he'd come up with 148 million. The psychiatrist on the night in the hospital said, I know exactly what's wrong. It was like being a champion boxer, and you've took right hooks all your life and rolled with the punches. But on these 3 occasions, your opposition was that bit stronger, and you got on the canvas and you couldn't get back up. And he said, and that's the way it is. That's life.
Hi everyone, you're very welcome to this week's episode of Parallel Podcast. Please like, subscribe and click the notifications bell so don't miss any future videos and updates. And please check out my vlogging channel, Pitch Spotting with Padraig. The link will be in the video description below. After a bit of a break, we're back with a bang by the fireside, and I'm delighted to welcome back a man who is fair to say is a man of an extraordinary wild career. He's an award-winning comedian, motivational speaker, theatre producer, paralegal, pilot, and more importantly than all that, he's a very good friend of mine from Liverpool, Gary Skyner. Gary, thanks a million for coming back on to the podcast.
Good evening, Paddy, and good evening, everybody out there in Southern Ireland, everybody listening all over the world.
Cheers
and a fellow Liverpool, good lad, man.
Oh,
are you well?
All good. We're kind of really picking up where we left off because you were on the last episode 6 months ago as well. So obviously it's great for you to come back on, and I suppose we've kept in touch and become great friends over the last number of months as well. And you made it possible for me to to go to the Champions League final in Paris through a mutual friend. Josh, I really appreciated that. Now, in hindsight, I wish you hadn't. But that's a story for another day. We won't go there, but your help is very much appreciated at the time. So thank you for that.
Just for your sake, everything's open season. There's no secrets. There's no whatever you want to ask me. I never get offended at all. Just ask me what you want. Anything at all.
Oh, cheers, my man.
Apart from how much we've got in the bank, which is now. Can I just say, you don't meet many people in life who are genuine, and I don't know you that well, but I think you're a really, really genuine lad, and I'm flattered at the time you've put in to helping me, and the interest that you've took, and the friendship that you've made with me and my partner, and we met your dad, and I feel like I've known you for years. I genuinely think. And the banter and stuff, it's good. It comes.
No, likewise. I think we gelled very well from the first time we met. So.
I mean, I was laughing at the match on Saturday when he was sending that message. It was like, I thought, you bastard, Paddy.
Before we get stuck into it, you were at Anfield on Saturday.
Yes.
Celebrating your birthday. Your prediction of Darwin Núñez getting 10 goals by your birthday. How apt that he got number 9 and 10. A week later, but it was for your birthday treat, so he spared it for you.
What I'm more ashamed about, Paddy, is, right, I've strived all my life as a disabled person to be accepted, and I've had to fight really hard for people to accept me for who I am and what I am. And I've needed to prove myself to be the person I am. And I can't believe that. I know we're not talking about disability, we're talking about a professional footballer, but he'd only just arrived. He doesn't speak the lingo. He's off the pace. The Premiership is the fastest league in the world. I made a big mistake. I genuinely believe I've put this lad out to dry, and wrongly. And I watched him. As long as you give 100% in a Liverpool shirt, for me, that's fine. You know what I mean? You can be a chimpanzee for me. But as long as, if you wear the Liverpool shirt and Klopp says you're the finished article, then I'm happy with that. I'll go with that now. But that lad, I was too harsh and I was too soon. And I apologise unreservedly.
Yeah, I think you had your Facebook post printed off there in the dressing room beforehand to motivate him. But it worked, I suppose.
I think if you cock up, mate, you've got to be bold enough to admit you've cocked up.
No unfair play to you. That's fair dues.
I put me big size 12 in it well before it was even wanted, you know. Apologies, Darwin Núñez.
Did you clap him off when he got substituted?
I did. And make no mistake, like any busy people, my phone is part of my life. And all the way through that match, it was going ping, ping, ping. And the second goal went to it. It was like, listen, bollocks, you know, what's this you were saying about Núñez? And to be honest, only till yesterday, because I was in the disabled block at the Cop End, and his 2 goals were up the Anfield Road, and then so I didn't get to see them properly. And when I watched them yesterday on LFC TV, I was amazed at the quality. The quality of the goals were, you know, the fact that his pace, his reading of the game, his efforts off the ball, everything about him says, Gary Skyner, you talk through your ass. This wants to do well.
For the record, I was one of those people who was texting Gary on Saturday afternoon. So
go on, rub it in, bad. And this friend of mine, not a million miles away from the Emerald Isle, said, and Darwin Núñez will be meeting Gary for the pints in the Gladstone after the game.
That was me. That was me.
I think, and you. And I think
that was me.
Somebody probably strangled me and said, listen, fatso, that's what you get when you sign Núñez.
Will you be putting in a bid yourself to buy Liverpool?
Putting in a bid? If they'll accept some luncheon vouchers and what I've got in the fridge, yeah. I don't know. I mean, we might get some nutcase, you see. With money comes lunacy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Someone who's got that type of money, do you really want someone like that in charge? You know, look at Newcastle. I mean, their human rights record, the people who own Newcastle, you know, no gays. People say something wrong, they get their head chopped off, get their hands chopped off. You know, it's a weird way of life there. And yet, because they've got money, the Geordies think they're fantastic.
Just listing off your accolades there, Gary. You haven't done too badly for a man who was said when you were born that he wouldn't amount to much.
Well, considering it was said when we were born, not just me, that we were all supposed to be dead by the time we were 30 and we were never going to make anything of our lives as thalidomide victims. And I think I've tipped the scales a little bit on that one. I think I've overachieved rather than underachieved. I think there's a lot of able-bodied people, so-called able-bodied people, who say to me, where do you get the energy from? Where do you get the time from? Where do you, you know, and the nicest compliments anyone ever pays me, they say, after a minute meeting you for 5 minutes, you forget that you've got the disability. You don't see that, you see you. And that's the nicest compliments I've ever been given, you know.
So I suppose just to give a bit of background, and I would agree with that, having visited you a few times now at this stage over the last 6 months.
Thank you.
Just for our viewers at home who may not know the full story, you're going to show us your hands for a second there, just if anything. So just to paraphrase two of your gags that you've used in the past, they didn't happen for biting your nails, as you said in the Johnson Ross show.
I'm a small arms dealer.
and they also didn't happen from washing your hands stringently over COVID from another one.
Boris Johnson hated me because that was the first thing he brought in, was wash your hands every 20 minutes. It's okay if you can reach the taps.
Do you want to give our viewers a bit of background into why, I suppose, what happened as to why your arms are that way? Maybe the backstory. Back
in the 1960s, what cost the NHS an awful lot of money in the 60s was dehydrated women who were pregnant. And it meant that they had to spend lots of time in hospital, maybe up to 10, 14, 15 days at a time on the lead up to having the babies. Or when they were pregnant, they'd start projectile vomiting. So the pharmaceutical big kids decided it would be a fortune if they could develop a drug that suppressed the nervous system in a pregnant woman. And a German company called, at the time, Chemie Grunenthal, they developed a drug that was called Contrajam in Germany. And they sold it to the UK under license with the name Thalidomide. And the distillers company at the time, the gins and whiskies and vodkas people, they marketed it as a wonder drug and a very safe drug for women, pregnant women to take. And it was only in the 1959, 60, 61, 62, when a lot of kids were being born deformed with monster-like deformities. Because if you see my arms, then they're twisted and bent. I've got 4 fingers on each hand. I've got no thumbs. I'm minus my elbows. I haven't got proper shoulders. And that is all because thalidomide stunted the growth of the baby's limbs in the womb. And it all depended on when your mum took the drug, what period in pregnancy she took the drug, and how many she took, as to how severely disabled you were. Some people, I know this might sound paradoxical, but for, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Lucky, I would say, lucky. I am one of the lucky ones because a lot of them have got no arms and legs. So at least I can stand up and walk away from things and go for a walk in the park. Well, my legs are bad now, but I used to be able to go for a walk and play football. But some people in wheelchairs got no legs. And this is all because somebody didn't test the drug. The rush to profit and to make money was their only concern, not the safety of the patient. And there's a number of people who turn their heads the other way. The Germans, I'll come to that a bit later. I'm going to cover that. They'd already developed this drug for other reasons, and realized it had certain properties that would help in peacetime. And the distillers didn't test it. The NHS didn't test it. Nobody tested it, and just used it, and took Grunenthal's word that it was safe to take. And the GPs were given it on license to prescribe. And as a result, we ended up with 505 severely disabled people, and 10,000 babies died worldwide. So it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, it is the biggest medical disaster ever.
I was just reading in your book, You Can't, You Won't, which I'm going to put the description in the video description as well afterwards. It's a fascinating story. Obviously, it's your life story, but it gives the full history of the thalidomide, the source, its origin, and your own battle with the trust and against Kimi Grunenthal over the years and the decades. And one of the notes I've just written down was that, as you said, Distaval promoted this drug as a most suitable drug for pregnant women.
Yes. But Grunenthal, if you go back to Grunenthal's history, Chemi Grunenthal, they were at the time. They were the chemical arm and pharmaceutical arm of Hitler's war machine. And what they did with Concertan, as it was originally called, is when they got caught, when soldiers got caught and were in prison, prisoners of war, they would give them Concertan in the breakfast in a cup of tea or in water, and not tell them that they'd been given it. So if I give you thalidomide without you knowing it for a week, and then inadvertently took you off it and didn't tell you that I'd been giving you it, you know, when you wake up in the night with the cramp in the bed and you have to slam your foot on the floor because you get cramp. You know that pain that you get with cramp? Yeah. That's the coming off. When you're coming off thalidomide, that's the pain you get. And that's constant. You can't get rid of it. So the soldiers would be screaming in the cell in pain with cramp. And the German soldiers would come along and say, you are in pain. We know what we can do to help you, but you need to tell us what you know. So it was used as a torture drug originally because it suppressed the nerves, the nervous system. And they did have a sedative for it, but only gave it to soldiers that cooperated. So that's where it started its life as a torture drug in the war. But that hasn't come out fully yet. I mean, I'm doing my best to get that story out there because it's fact.
Heinrich Mochter, one of the guys involved in the research team in Kimi Grunenthal, like he was a concentration camp commander. Yeah. And it was ironic in later years when it was discovered by Dr. Sheshkin that thalidomide could cure leprosy. Like Dr. Sheshkin was a Polish Jew who had to immigrate, who had to seek refuge in Poland in a Polish ghetto during the Second World War, and he was there having to collaborate and negotiate with Mochter on the papers, on the files for thalidomide. So, you know, it's the irony of that. And I suppose he himself, you know, was up on trial for humanity crimes, war crimes in World War II, but yet still had his job and was able to sign off on medication like that, like which caused further carnage, like, and further deaths and further heartbreak.
Well, the 8 directors of Grunenthal were taken to trial in 1972 for a cover-up in Cologne, in Germany, and the German prosecutor halted the trial and said it wasn't in the public interest to continue it. Now, if I can use a sort of stupid analogy for your listeners to understand it, that's a bit like Fred West murdering only, let's say, Irish people. He had something against Irish people. But Fred West decides he's only going to kill Irish people. So every one of his victims was Irish. Now, when he gets discovered that he killed everyone who was Irish descent, the Irish government have then got a case against the English government for not detecting him earlier, because there was a pattern. There was a pattern of, once you start to realise, well, that was Paddy so-and-so, that was Michael so-and-so, that was, and there was a common denominator between all the victims, then the Irish government would have had a lean-to the British government, because Fred West lived here. Similarly, with Grunenthal, if Grunenthal's directors were convicted, then everyone who'd been killed or injured worldwide would have had a lean-to the German government's purse. So that's why the prosecutor stopped the trial. He stopped the trial because the whole world, the 10,000 families who lost babies and everyone who was injured, would have been able to claim, because they were convicted in the court of law in Germany. So that's why they stopped the trial. So it was bent from day one. It was bent because it was a torture drug. It was bent because the government covered up for them. It was bent because Adolf Hitler got his sarin gas, mustard gas, torture stuff, torture chamber stuff, and they were actually using ash from human bodies in concentration camps to make soap from human bodies. So that's the type of deal. It was really nice crew to go out for a drink with,
Yeah, like no liability was admitted.
Yeah.
And I suppose you didn't have much sympathy in the UK from the British government either. You had Enoch Powell at the time. He was Minister for Health, wasn't it, at the time? And he had a very unsympathetic view. Like, literally people had only themselves to blame for taking medication if they had any adverse effects or reactions. And he went on record as saying, I hope you're not going to sue for damages. No one can sue the government.
Yeah. And
So
again, the way the law was then, in the 1960s, if you had a case and you were receiving legal aid and the other side offered a settlement, if a judge deemed that settlement to be okay, then, and you refused it, then your legal aid would stop, because as far as the government were concerned, you could have settled this matter and saved the public purse. So as soon as the judge said that's a reasonable offer, if you don't accept it, then you've got no more legal aid to fight on. So what they did very cleverly was they told the judge who made the decision that we were only going to live till we were 30. So £10 million was offered for 505 people with no arms and no legs. And was told that we were only going to live till we were 30. So we'd only half life expectancy. So £10 million to a judge with a doctor telling lies about our life expectancy appeared to be a reasonable offer. And that's why the legal aid was withdrawn. And the parents, a bit like Hillsborough, some families wanted to fight on, other families wanted to quit. And it separated the atom, it separated the group that should have remained solid. And that was the crucial part of the campaign falling apart from the parents' point of view. We've got currently, there's 432 of us left now. And I was 63 on bonfire night, 5th of November. We're all getting older, we're all getting uglier, we're all getting slower. We're all got other medical needs on top of the thalidomide injuries. And there's still £186 million in the trust fund that you don't want to part with. They want to keep paying drip feeding us every year. So you imagine each year that money becomes less and less useful for us because we slow down. Our limbs are getting older, and you know, we could put that to good use. If I die tomorrow, my entitlement to that money dies with me. So my next of kin, I can't leave anything for anyone. When I die, my involvement in the trust fund dies as well.
Gary, just to get back, I suppose, to your own life growing up. What was it like? I suppose obviously we know the circumstances in which you were born, and you know the unfortunate situation that led to that. But what was it like growing up for you, your early years?
To be honest, it was a lot of the question a lot of people ask is, what come first, the personality or the disability? What made which? And if I didn't have the disability, I wouldn't have stood out at all. You know, because I physically stand out, I look different to you, to everyone else, to a lot of people. I think that when you see a disabled person, people expect the persona to be miserable, and I'm anything but miserable, off and on the stage. I'm as happy as Larry, you know. I see the funny side and everything, you know, and I think that's what's wrong with the world today is people take life too serious. But growing up as a kid with a 9-inch left arm and a 14-inch right, you soon you had to be accepted by your peers, and you had to fight hard for that. You really had to fight for recognition with teachers, with peers, with kids, other kids. And I think I coped very well, and I think that's where the comedy came into play, is where you couldn't give someone a good dig in the mouth. You learn to quickness of wit, and when they skittered you or took the mickey out of you, you could respond quickly, you know. And I think that's where the comedy was born in the very early days, you know. But it was cool. It was cool, you know. And I mean, I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes. I had no idea that other people had me dead by the time I was dead. I had no idea that I had no idea that my dad said to people behind my back that I'd never get married, I'd never drive a car, I'd never ride a bike, I'd never swim, I'd never do anything in his book. He just wrote me off. I think I was an embarrassment on his manhood. And, you know, genuinely think because it happened to him, even though everyone knew it was the drug that did it, he still blamed himself. And my mum blamed herself too, you know. I suppose she went to a grave still blaming herself for taking it, you know.
Yeah, but it wasn't her fault, like, you know. You mentioned, I suppose it kind of came across in the book, your dad really wasn't the most supportive dad growing up. Would that be fair to say? He clashed a bit.
Yeah. My dad, if he'd have stayed with us and he hadn't got divorced, I'd have just been wrapped in cotton wool. He wouldn't let me go anywhere, wouldn't let me go play football, wouldn't go out the rest. He'd come in from work at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. If I was playing football in the street, he'd go in, wash his hands, turn the sleeves up on his shirt, and he'd come out on the step. Gary, get in. All my mates, I'd be lying in bed, I'd have a bath, I'd be lying in bed, and I could hear all my mates still playing outside in the street. So 8, 9, 10 o'clock, you know. And like he just sort of covered me with protection, cotton wool, you know, like you're not the same as everyone else. You're fragile. I need to make sure I've got you where I know where you are, you know. And that was no way to develop as a kid in Liverpool, in Toxteth in Liverpool, you know. So I'm glad he went in the end. I'm glad he went when I was 11, you know, before I started adolescence, you know, and started doing the things that we do when we become teenagers, become little bastards, you know. I'd never have been the little bastard that I was.
That he inspired the title of your book, You Can't, You Won't. I suppose, like, would you say that a lot of your achievements in life were probably motivated to prove him wrong.
Yeah, that's what it's been. That's the way the title of the book comes from. You can't, you won't. If I had a £20 note, £10 or £5 note, but every time someone's uttered them words to me, you can't and you won't, and I've gone, I can and I will. And I've done it early just to prove people wrong. I've done it to piss people off, to be honest, you know.
Yeah, but like it's like you were saying that when your dad said you'd never ride a bike or drive a car, and you ended up getting a pilot's license.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of proved him wrong. Like,
you know, I got to 14, 15 when my mum and dad used to let me go to the doctors on my own. If I woke up with a sore throat or a sneeze and whatever, they'd say, you go to the doctors, you know, you go yourself now. And I remember going to the doctors, and there used to be a car called the DAF. Volvo took them over in the end. And the motto was forward to go forward, back to go back. And that meant that if you pushed the gear lever forward, they were automatic cars. If you pushed the gear lever forward, the car was in drive. If you pushed them back, it was in reverse. And that was how simple it was. And when I was talking to the salesman, it was right next door to me doctors. And I said to the salesman, because I used to go to the fair and I'd be on the dodgems. And I'd think, well, I can handle this, no problem steering and all that. So I'll be able to drive, you know. And when I went to the doctor this particular morning, I went down, there was a DAF 33, a DAF 44, and a DAF 66. The higher the number, the more classy the car, you know. And I got every brochure for every car, 33, 44, 66. And he come home for his dinner, and I was sitting looking at the cars, and I was 15 and a half. And he said, what's this? And I said, oh, I picked these up at the car showroom. I'll be driving one of these in 18 months' time. And he took them off me and threw them in the bin. And he said, don't get ideas above your station. You won't be driving nothing. You can't drive a car. You'll forget driving the car. It's never going to happen. But not only did I drive a car, I actually passed my advanced test, the same test as what the police have. You know, you know, speed pursuit driving, come and see while you're driving. You know, I passed that when I was 21 first time. I passed my ordinary test first time, you know. So they were all terribly, terribly wrong about me. Terribly wrong.
there were times when you felt a bit unsafe as well around your dad.
I did. It was weird. It was like he made out it was a joke. But on a Saturday afternoon, there used to be wrestling on the telly all the time. And he'd pretend wrestle fight with me. And then he'd stick a cushion over my head, you know, like messing. And I've still got that phobia now. I'd love to go in the jungle, because I'd eat anything spiders, anything snakes. I wouldn't give a shite, you know. But there's one tonight, I think, where a contestant gets buried alive. And that's one thing I don't think I could handle. The actual, you know, having something covered in your face. And I think he knew that. And he'd leave the cushion on my face, and he'd leave it just them couple of seconds too long, you know. And I used to hate it when my mum went shopping on a Saturday and left me at home with him. I don't think for 1 minute he was trying to kill me. I don't mean that. What I mean is, I think, I don't know what he meant, what his motivation was, you know. I don't know.
Bit nasty.
Yeah, he didn't like it.
It wasn't all bad though, because he used to take you swimming. This is one of your gags when he used to take you swimming.
He used to take me. Oh yeah. Well, when I was at school, his reverse motivation paid off. Because I was at school the first day. Teacher said, "Right, class, if anybody here can swim, dive in and show me how far." So I dived in and I'd done 7 lengths. She said, "Skyner, out of the pool now. One thing we do not like in the school is show-offs, but it's highly commendable that a boy like you can swim that far. How did you learn to swim like that?" I said, "Oh, it was me dad, miss. He used to take me out to sea in a rowing boat, and I'd have to swim back." She said, "Oh, that must have been difficult for you." I said, "No, once I got out the sack, it was easy." I was not bad, but
the dark humor, like, you know. But just to clarify, that didn't happen. But no, it's well put together. But look,
it didn't happen, no.
But I could tell reading the book, all right, that it was a very difficult relationship, and
A roller coaster.
yeah, your mother, I suppose, it was a fantastic woman by the sounds of it, a strong woman, and I think that now, I from watching the play, you very kindly sent me on the play, and I've seen it, and the character that plays your mother, that she's portraying in the play, just is a real. She's a strong Scouse woman, fiery, witty, and someone you'd want to have in your corner is really how she comes across in that play. Like, and I'm guessing that was an accurate portrayal.
Well, I know she'd be sitting on a cloud somewhere now, cursing me, but this is true. The only bad thing my mum was, she was a thief, and with me being working in the legal practice and stuff, and doing stuff from home, I used to have a big supply of stamps.
Yeah.
Every time we did a big mail shot, like I had like maybe 100, 200 stamps on hand each time, you know, in my desk. And this particular time before Christmas, we were sending Christmas cards out. And Stephen, me PA, who you've met when you come up to see me, he said, we've got no stamps. I said, that's rubbish. I said, I only bought 200 3 weeks ago. And he said, well, there's none left. So I said, well, we haven't sent much out. And he went, there's none left. He said, I think there's 10. So anyway, he said, it'll be the kids. I said, no, it'll be me mum. And he said, your mum? I said, yeah, take it from me, it'll be me mum. So what I did was I said, we'll have our dinner in the kitchen and we start play acting. I said, and I'll say to you, what time is Kevin coming? And he said to me, who's Kevin? And I said, the electrician. And my mum was ironing in the kitchen. So he said, Kevin who? I said, Kevin Dawson, the electrician, what time's he coming? And I've mouthed to him, 1 o'clock. And he said, oh, 1 o'clock. So I said, he knows how that camera goes in the clock. And he went, I said, I put a camera in the clock to find out who's been pinching the stamps. And no sooner had they said it, she went, all right, it's me. It's me. And she blew herself up. You know what I mean? But she said, Gary Skyner, you begrudge your mother a few stamps. I said, I'd buy you the post office if you want them. I said, but when we're doing the job, tell us, just say, Gary, I need 20 stamps, 30 stamps, whatever, I'll buy you them. But when we got the job on the go, and we've got no stamps left, she was a terrible kleptomaniac, terrible. God bless you. So she a nice way. She stole from her son, only she just didn't want to ask. She just thought because it was mine, the stamps were in my drawer, then it was okay to take them. And it was okay to take them, but if you don't tell us that you're taking them and then we have a big mail shot, it means we've got to go back out to the post office and get more.
Yeah.
Tell us so we know that they're running down, because we don't go into the drawer, you know, until we actually need them. So, but we just laughed the way she blew herself up, you know. Okay, it was me, it was me. There was no camera, there was nothing.
That was like the lie detector and the wire when they convinced the guy that there was a lie detector. But
yeah, she was lovely, mate. I was blessed, and the nicest thing in the play was, well, it wasn't in the play, and it should have been, is when she broke her heart crying. When they brought me to her for the first time, the nurse, she said to the nurse, do you think it would have been better if God had taken him? And the nurse said, no, Francis, God has picked you to have this child because he knows you're going to care for him and look after him. And that is exactly what happened. That was the nicest thing. And I couldn't, if you could have paired a mother and a son together, you couldn't have paired any better. She was a rock. She was everything to me. You know what I mean? And a stamp rubber. No, she was. It's just a shame you know we haven't become friends earlier, and you hadn't met her. I think she'd have talked to you anyway.
Thanks. There's a part in the book that was very good when she was away on holidays, and when the cat was away, the mouse played. You want to tell us about that?
I took some bird out from. We had a presentation out with the football on the Thursday, and I asked this bird out on the Sunday. And anyway, I took her for a drink locally, and we ended up going back to my mum's on the lie that I had to close the curtains in my mum's, but I knew it was an empty house, so you can guess the rest. And we ended up in the sack, and should we say it was an all-night session. And I've just left the bed as it was, you know, and and I flew out to Ibiza the following day. I flew out on the Tuesday, and she come back from Turkey on the Wednesday. And I rang her up and said, "Okay, Mum." She went, "Don't okay, Mum, me, you bastard." I said, "Why?" She said, "What have you been doing in my bed while I've been away?" And I went, "Shit." I said, I'm 27, for God Christ's sake, you know what I mean? What's wrong with you? Gary Skyner, I never thought you were like that. I said, "What do you think I was like then?"
Very good. But she had your back always, I suppose.
Always had me back, always. You know, I mean, I used to tell that joke and say, you know, when, you know, at school, the religious teacher said, who knocked down the walls of Jericho? You know, and she asked me, and I said, "Well, it wasn't me." And so she sent for my mum. My mum said, "What's the problem?" She said, "I asked Gary, who knocked down the walls of Jericho?" And he flippantly said, "It wasn't him." And my mum said, "Well, if our Gary said it wasn't him, it wasn't him."
Very good. It must have been difficult things because Liverpool, I suppose, especially at that time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Liverpool at that time, going to school like Toxteth, I'd imagine it's a tough enough neighbourhood. So I'd say you stuck out a bit in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, fair. And that's another point about your mum as well. She pushed for you to go to a mainstream education, which was great, like for you to assimilate it. That took a lot of balls, or courage, more appropriate to say. I know you're saying that you developed quick wit, and it kind of helped you becoming a comedian. Just getting the retaliation in first, or kind of making a joke against yourself. But it must have been quite difficult.
Oh, yeah.
To deal with the kids that time, or life was tough enough for you, like.
Oh, I was fighting every day in school. I had no knees in my pants. I used to get battered. I used to come home with a thick lip, teeth missing, all kinds. I was a bastard for fighting and all that at school. And if I ever got beat, if I ever got a real good iron, she'd say to me, "You go back in tomorrow, you've got 2 good legs." And do it again, you know what I mean? She wouldn't think twice about me another pair of pants. You know, but the school bully, me and him fought regular, you know, and he won every time. And the headmaster, I still didn't back down. And it was in the play, but the headmaster was fed up of disciplining both of us. So he got us both on the stage at assembly one morning. And he knew that I wore a tie with a clip-on tie. And he knew that he had a knot in it. And he said, "Okay, let's settle this once and for all." And he said, "The fastest one to take the tie off is the cock of the school." And he knew for well I'd just go and pull the tie and it was off, you know. And all the school went, when I pulled the tie off, you know. And then he said, "Right, shake hands." He said, "No, that's the last time you two will have a disagreement now, you know." So he was a politician really when it comes to ease and tension, shall we say. And me and that Freddie Woodsville have gone okay after that. You know? Yeah, he was. Well, and Mr. Bath was great. He was and we had a teacher called Mr. Casey who come to my 50th birthday party, and he shared with the audience stuff that went on behind my back that I still I didn't know about 35 years later. You know, he said, "Oh, the teachers used to have meetings about me. You know, what do we do about this lad with the short arms? You know." He said, "And we didn't know how to treat you, whether we made special concessions for you or anything." And it was Mrs. Cope, the headmistress, said, "Just treat him as everyone else." She said, "If he misbehaves, he gets caned. If he steps out of line, he gets detention. He gets what everyone else gets." She said, "And we don't make any concessions for him at all." And that's little things like that help you develop. Because I think you'd have been even more of a target for bullies if the school give you more concessions than anyone else. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just wasn't. It wouldn't have sat well if I'd have been treated differently, and I'm glad I wasn't.
But at least you, as you said, you made friends as the years went on anyway in school, and
yeah,
you got on well, so you overcame it. You mentioned your mother mentioned about your two feet earlier, and you were a pretty decent football player when you were younger. You got a trial at Anfield for LFC with Ronnie Moran.
I played for the school team, and the teacher who I played left back for the school for type C, and I modelled myself on the then Tommy Smith, and I used to like get stuck in, you know what I mean. I used to love slide tackling and stuff like that. And he put 3 of us forward for the trial at Melwood, and it was on Sunday, the 8th of May, 1975. If your listeners want to check that up. And Liverpool used to send you the letter that said, "You've been chosen for the trial. Bring with you a pair of shorts and a pair of socks. We'll provide the shares and your football boots." And because I knew someone had been for the trial a few weeks earlier, I knew that it was the away kit and the home kit that you obviously got to wear, you know. So I took 2 pairs of shorts. I took 1 red pair and I took a black pair. And I wore red socks. So when Liverpool played West Ham in them days, they'd wear a white shirt with red cuffs, black shorts and red socks, because West Ham wore white socks. So that was the away kit. And the home kit was, as you know, all red. So I just swapped my shorts and the shirts, and I played for 1 team in the first half and 1 in the second. And I came off with 10 minutes to the end. And Phil Borsman, who used to play, he took Keegan's place. Then Keegan had a fight with Bremner at the Charity Shield back in 1974. Phil Borsman, he played number 7. And he was injured, and he was in on Sunday for extra training and treatment. And I come off and I was banging my boots on the step outside the old Melwood, the little hut that Shankly had there and that. And Ronnie Moran come over and he put his hand over me, around me, and he said, "You know you'll never be a pro, don't you, son?" He said, "Because of your balance." He said, "But I've watched you there today," he said, "and if this lot here had your bottle and your will to win," he said, "I'd be out of a job. There'd be no need for me to shout and scream at him, you know." And he said, "Well done." And that really stuck with me, that, you know what I mean? Because he was like the main man. Why he never took ever to become the boss? But they reckon that he was the nuclear missile. He was like, you got it off Shanks, you got it off Paisley, but then Bugsy, that was his nickname. Bugsy would come in and give you, you know.
Yeah, he was.
You know, he used to do the dinners with Tommy Smith, and Smithy said you used to ignore his voice because he'd be shouting, "Smithy, Smithy," on the pitch, you know. He used to ignore him, you know. "Smithy, I know you can hear me." He'd turn around and said, look at him, and he'd go, "You get him, or I'll fucking get you." So he said Ronnie, that's why Ronnie never took the top job, you know, because he was the one they feared after the boss come in and kicked off. When Ronnie had his 5 pence to say, he got it in, you know. So he was the motivation there in the 60s and 70s and 80s, you know.
He didn't give compliments too lightly either, so that was a very nice compliment to get from him. Like, if you kind of earned, if you got a compliment from Ronnie Moran, you earned it, you know. So that was fair dues. The very first time you played a football match, Gary. It was an inspirational story just to hear about your manager didn't want to put you on. They're down a man. Do you want to tell us about that?
But that was, I played for the boys brigade. And again, I felt a bit like my dad. I used to train on a Friday and a Wednesday nights in boys brigade in the church hall. I used to score all the time, five-a-side. And I was good. I was a good goal scorer at five-a-side. And we'd turn up on a Saturday and I'd be counting the people arriving, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I go, well, I won't even get a shirt now, And this particular Saturday was freezing cold, pissing down. And I was there every week. And 7, 8, 9, and then a 10th one. Now it's 2:45 now. And he went to me, will you do me a favour? I said, what? He said, will you stay in the dressing room? I said, stay in the dressing room? What do you mean? He said, stay in the dressing room because the referee sees we've got 11 players. He want me to put you on. He said, and Robert Rigby is on his way here, I think. And Robert Rigby never turned up, and he sent someone over to the dressing room at half time to get me because he'd rather have 11 men on the pitch than 10. And I was only on for 5 minutes, hit the crossbar after 5 minutes and scored a screamer after 10 minutes. And he never left me out again. But it needed something like that to prove to him that I was okay. I think he got 5-a-sides, totally different, which it is. It's a totally different game to 11-a-side. But again, somebody thinking I couldn't cope. And until it was proven that I could cope, it was a different ball game,
So you always had that. You always had to prove yourself that bit more, so.
Always. That's why I'm annoyed about Nunes. I really am, honestly. I think when you think of what I went through, and there's me shouting the odds about him,
Well, you did predict. You got your predictions spot on. You said he would score 10 goals before your birthday, and fair enough, you were a week out, but it was your real birthday was Saturday against Southampton, so your prediction was spot on.
And that was a birthday celebration. So if we want to bend the rules a little bit,
exactly.
I went the week after.
You're spot on, and it was the closest game to your birthday as well. We'll say. So, yeah. So, and you set up your own team as well when you were younger, Gary, and you got a special surprise from Bill Shankly one day. Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh yeah. Well, my first job was at Alderley Hospital where I had all my treatment. I had my operations for correcting my limbs, and his wife used to come in the cake shop there, but because I used to play in goal and 5-a-side as well, honestly, this woman had a paper called the Catholic Pictorial in Liverpool. She heard about it, and she came to do a story on me, and she was doing an article on Shanks at the time as well. And I was running my own schools, in my own street team when I was 14. And I said, we can't afford a kit, so we all wear different coloured shorts and socks. And we've just got the same shirt each, So we could do with the full strip. And little did I know, she went and told Shanks. I mean, don't forget, at 14, you're becoming a big lad now, and you're grown up. And the game before we played Stoke in 1972, she took me to Anfield, and I was sat in the car. I thought she was going in for tickets. And she went, come on, come with me. And I went, why? I'll wait here for you. And she said, no, come with me. And I went in, and he come down the stairs. Hello, son. You must be Gary's son. I said, yeah. I've heard a lot about you, son. You're on your own team. I said, yeah. Come with me. And we went in this place. It was like a mortuary. And he pulled his drawer out with all heated rollers in with all the kits, all folded up. And he gave me 18 shirts, 18 shorts, and 18 socks. Number 1 to number 18. And he said, look after them, son. He says, there's been some glory attached to these shirts, and I hope he has the same effect on your team, And he was, I mean, I loved him, man. I cried the day he died, you know.
Yeah,
And
that's special now, like, you know.
Yeah, I bumped into his wife when I was working in Old Derry, because they only lived in West Derby, and she didn't know about the kit. And the girls in the cake shop in the morning said, "Here's one of your Bills mob now," when I walked in. And she says, "Oh, you're a Liverpool fan, son?" I said, "Yeah, big Liverpool fan." And he said, "Don't you know who she is?" I said, "I haven't got a clue." She said, "This is Nessie Shankly." And then I told her about the kit. She said, "Oh, you must come to the house and have a cup of tea." And I went round at dinner time, and I couldn't believe it, mate. I was sat there, they could smell the soap upstairs. He said, "Oh, Bill's in the shower. He'll be on his way down in a minute. Do you take sugar?" And I went, I couldn't believe it. He come down the stairs. He'd left Liverpool. This was around 1975. He come down the stairs with a white string vest on and a pair of red tracksuit bottoms with a white stripe down. "Hello, son. How are you looking after that kit, son? I hope you're keeping it well. How's your team?" You know, and I was like, fucking hell, like sitting there thinking I'm in Bill Shankly's house and having a cup of tea with the man, with him. You know,
That impression you did there of Shankly's wife is very like Mrs. Doubtfire, you know. Fair play, like, you know.
no, he was. Him and Klopp was so alike.
Mm.
You know, they said the right things. With the media, they were great with the media. They never told lies. They told it how it is. They didn't underestimate or exaggerate. They were Liverpool through and through. Cut them through the middle. They were Liverpool through and through. And Paisley as well, you know.
Very good.
And that's a great picture up at Headingley Hall where he sat with two of his mates from the mine with the European Cup. You know, he sat with his two mates on the bench when he won the European Cup as manager for the first time. And he's gone up to a little mining village in Durham. You know, nowadays, like, they've all got flash Pierre card, Louis Vuitton suits and Christ knows what else. And there he is in a pair of slippers, sat on a park bench in Durham with the European Cup, showing his two mates who he went down the mines with years ago. You know, this is what I've won.
Very good. You also got into refereeing, Gary. What was the motivation behind that?
Well, after Ronnie had said that, I had a complete rethink and thought, well, I love the game, and I'm clearly not good enough to make it as a pro. But I want to stay involved at a high level. So I took my referee's badge and I acquired I was referee class 1, which meant I could do the Northwest Counties leagues. You know, really high profile, top amateur stuff. I was in the middle of, you know. I've done 3 cup finals, and I passed my coaching badge, my FIFA coaching badge, and I got presented that by Sir Bobby Dobson. He was just Bobby Dobson then. And the certificate's got his signature on. You know, because I passed when he was England manager. He was the pinnacle of English football, and you know, he was the one who signed everything as the England head coach. And I passed it twice, to be honest. I told lies about my age when I was 16, and because you can earn money with it, I only found out my date of birth was the wrong one. I had to wait 2 years and take it again, and I took it again. And another fellow who was in the backroom staff, the boot room, John Bennison, he was in the backroom staff with Tom Saunders. And I went to see a lad who was Gardner, his name was. He was an England goalkeeper coach. And he told me a few little secrets of what to do. So he said, when you take your exam, if a kid, they give you like a subject, like trapping a ball and turning and shooting into the corner of the net, right? So you'd get one kid with the ball. The kid would have his back to the goal. The kid would play it into him. He'd control it, turn quickly and shoot, you know. And that was my topic. And he said, and when a kid does it spot on, walk straight on the pitch and go, stop, and grab the kid and go, what's your name? Johnny. All right, Johnny. That is exactly what I'm looking for. Lads and girls, that is exactly what I wanted. And then you take your life in your hands and you say, right, show me it again. So this is where he normally would fuck up, you know what I mean? So you do it again, and hopefully he does it exactly the same. And say, now that if you watch what Johnny did, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, well done, Johnny. Pat him on the head, play on, you know. I mean, I did that. John Bennison had his clipboard, you know, and he went like that. I stood by him again, you know, on the touchline, and he went, "Who's been fucking teaching you then?" And I said, "Me, no, it's not normal to encourage you, but you lying bastard." Had a bit of inside info, you know.
Did you get much abuse about your disability from players on the pitch? Because like most referees get a lot of that abuse at the best of times. So anyone that kind of stood out a bit, I'd imagine.
But something that didn't put in the book and I should have done because it's funny. I was chased once by a fella wanting to kill me because I sent him off. And one time, this fella nearly decapitated this fella on the halfway line. So I blew up. And because my hands were that fucking cold, I couldn't get my pen out of my pocket, my book. And he actually said to me, he took my pen out of my pocket, my book, and he said, "Are you booking me or are you sending me off?" I said, "I'm sending you off." And he wrote his own name in the book and walked off. He said, "I'll fucking do it for you." And he said, "It warranted a red card, you know, yeah." And that was before red card, you know. He said he warranted the sending off. So, you know, little things like that.
But did you get much stick though from like, did anyone use your disability against you when you gave a bad decision or anything like that? Or
yeah, you know, like yeah, you'd go, you know, you'd give it, you blow the whistle, and someone will go, "You fucking spaz," and I'd say now and then, you know, my hearing wasn't like it is now, and I went, "Number 10, come here," and I go, "Hey, what?" And I went, "Never mind what, fucking spaz, me, name," and take his name, Buchan, you know. And I think they thought you wouldn't, you'd be scared to book them, you know, when you caught them out, like. But you'd expect that, wouldn't you? Know what I mean? It's, you know, that's what referees get.
I think we've all uttered choice words against referee at some stage.
It's a bastard in the black, yeah. Yeah.
So I think kind of like a very good line, I think you said, kind of summed up your life philosophy, Gary, was like to use the Grand National as an example. Like, you may not win the race, but you'll definitely will complete the course, you know. And I thought that was a very well put, you know, a good philosophy to have.
Oh, I don't go down the beaches, no. Never, ever have. If I fell off, I've got back on again. I've always completed the course, don't matter what it is. I've gone for it, and I've 99.999% of the times I've come out with glowing colours. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that I've got that will to win. You know, and that'll never leave me there.
Great stuff.
Not till he put me in a box.
Penalty box.
Yeah.
So after school, you graduated from your secondary. You completed your education, your secondary school, and it was funny reading that the principal commented how you were able to play the system, that you were able-bodied when it suited and disabled when it suited, and
yeah,
you manipulated the system well, and it was funny the way he put it, you know.
When the disability could assist, we brought it into play. Should we say it was a bit like cleaning the whites in snooker? It was like you used it to your advantage, you know what I mean? And I think I've done that really well. I'm proud of that, actually. Some people say you're cheap, but no. It's turning, you know, it's not crying over spilled milk. It's turning a disadvantage to an advantage. Why not? It's there. Why not? You know, no point in me walking on stage and pretending I'm a 6 foot, slim, good looking fella, because I'm fucking not. I'm a million miles away from that. And, you know, so if I can use the gag about washing my hands, about lighting fireworks at arm's length, and that tells the audience that I can cope with this, so can you. You know, let's have a laugh together. There's, you know, if you want to take the piss, but be prepared to be shot down at the same time, you know. And that's the message.
The fireworks joke is quite apt because you were born on Guy Fawkes night,
Yeah.
the 5th of November, and you're still smouldering 63 years on, like, you know. So,
well, a lot of people think you just say that you're born on bonfire night to suit the gag, but it was 5th of November 1959. So when people realise, like, you know, say, oh, well, lucky is that being born on bonfire night. Every box of fireworks I've ever bought, what's it got on the lid? Lights at arm's length. And, you know, it's a sad paradox, you know, but it's true. It's true, you know.
it's apt.
I don't think I've ever lit my own fireworks ever. Sparklers, yeah.
Yeah. You can celebrate that on your 64th birthday, maybe. You can light it to Paul McCartney's song.
The way me guts were on Saturday and they were today, I'm beginning to think I'm maybe on my way out, but I feel a lot better tonight. This is cheering me up coming here with you anyway. So
cheers, man. That's nice to hear. So after school, you had a couple of interesting jobs, and I particularly found your job in the housing department in Liverpool City Council and interesting. We had some interesting stories.
Yeah.
People would go to any lengths to get a house. I'd say were there. They pull a lot of strokes.
Oh yeah. I've had some weird and wonderful jobs, you know. One of my first jobs, I had a job in a chip shop, and I got the sack for putting my dick in a potato peeler. And she got the sack as well. No, but I work for the city council. I'm probably had somewhere in the region of 16, 17 jobs since I left school, from legal beagle to judge now. I'm the man who makes the decisions now. I've been an apprentice welder. I've been a housing manager. I've been a social worker. I've been a care worker. You know, what do they call it? Not a care worker, but someone who, you know, looks after people who've got mental health difficulties and learning difficulties, and like their chaperone, you know. And I've represented people in court. I took a late law degree. I took paralegals course. I've earned a lot of respect from people there. Millions and millions of pounds for people in claims, you know, accident claims and benefit claims, and just because I know the administration side of things, and you know that's come in handy, because the physical side of things has been difficult, you know, especially as I've got older. So the admin side and knowing the law, sort of not inside out and back to front, but being au fait with how to represent people and to talk to people and to, you know, to advocate for people. It's been a big plus, you know.
One of the stories in the housing department, you were threatened by a guy one day, where they threatened the wrong man.
Yeah, that was funny. There was a notorious family, which I won't mention the name on here, but they were in the Belvale area of Liverpool, and my colleague Betty, who used to work with me, she said to me, "Will you do me a favour?" I said, "What?" She said, "These people come in, this family come in every day, and all they're looking to do is cause trouble, and I can't stand them, you know." She said, "I don't want nothing to do with them. Will you deal with them?" So I said, yeah, I'll deal with them, you know. So this fella's come in, and she's disappeared off the counter, you know. So he said, "Who are you?" So I said, "Who are you?" So he went, I said first, "Who are you?" So I said, "Well, I'm asking you, who are you?" You know, and normally she'd have ran away by now, you know. So I said, "What do you want? We're not getting anywhere, are we?" So he said, I'm so-and-so, and I want a flat. I said, well, I'm so-and-so, and you're not getting the points, and you haven't been on the list long enough, so you're wasting your time. So he said, do you know who I am? So I said, do you know who I am? So he went, I know he said they put you there because you're the way you are, so we won't do you in. He said, but we will do you in. So I said, well, 4 o'clock, I knock off, see you outside. And he went, listen, smart ass, don't think the disability is going to get you out of this. I said, I didn't think for 1 minute it would. You know, so I've gone back in, he's gone. Knowing full well they turn up at 4 o'clock, and I've rang 4 of my mates who were heavies, you know, and they were sat in the car park when I walked out, and he's got out the car, and my mate got out the car, and he went, well, I thought you were going to do something to me now, and he went, well, you know, I said, no, I thought you were. So he said, did you threaten him? One of my mates said, did you threaten him? And he went, I just picked him up, and I dangled him over the roof, you know, by his legs. And he was going, please, please. And he went like that. I said, no, God, I thought you were in a hard case. You were going to do me in. What's all the shouting and screaming for, you know? I said, I've only got to tell him to drop you, and he'll drop you. Please don't drop me, please. You know. So I said, no. So he pulled him back up, Jim pulled him back up, and I said, so the next time you come in my office, you come in with respect, and you treat me with respect, then you'll get respect back. And he went, okay, I'm sorry. And you know, we never got any more problems after him. It was strange.
I wonder why.
Yeah, and Betty, to give the woman, she said, Gary, have you done that? I said, well, can't go into detail, Betty, but should we say that they were taught a lesson yesterday, you know?
Very good.
Yeah.
There was another lady that was trying to go to an extreme length to get a house one day.
Oh, fucking hell. She tried to set fire to me and her. She brought her, she come in, she said, I want to speak to the boss. And I said, you can't see the boss, I'm the boss, speak to me. She said, there's a lot of people in the waiting room, can we go in the private room? So I went in the private room with her, and I could smell petrol. But I just thought she'd been in the petrol station and it was on a coat, you know. And I said to her, look, I've told you this time and time again, you have not got enough points for the property and you're not high enough up on the list. And she said, I'll get a flat today. I said, no, you won't. She said, oh, I will. And she went in the bag and pulled out a gallon tin of petrol with a rag in it. And luckily the table wasn't fixed to the floor, so I've kicked the table on her. She fell off the chair and hit her head on the door. The room was covered in fuel everywhere. And it was like, you know, when the Saint was on the telly fighting, and one got punched and the gun was on the floor, and they were just going to grab it. One would grab it, go to grab it, the other one to kick it away. And there was a lighter. She was nearly had her hand on a lighter. I was trying to kick the lighter away from her. And everyone was looking through the window, but no shit houses would come in and out, because they knew, like, if she won and got her hand on that lighter, she was crazy, you know. And we have like a local TV station called Granada Reports in Liverpool, and it must have been about a month later, the Suns were crackers as well, and they interrupted the programme because one of the Suns was going to throw himself off the roof in their house, and so they had the TV cameras. So the whole family was crackers, was gaga, you know. But she would have set fire to the housing office and me, you know. We never got danger money in them days. We should have done.
I don't see how that was going to help her get a house. Like, is there any charges pressed against her afterwards or anything?
It's just, I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know whether the system was right or wrong, but it was a system. And she was prepared to go to extreme lengths. You know, she obviously wasn't dealing with the full deck, because the house wouldn't matter, would it, if the two of us went up and smoked, which is what would have happened. You know, she was crackers.
There were some humorous moments as well when you were working, though, Gary, because there was a receptionist in one of your jobs that had a very sultry voice, shall we say, but the voice and the face didn't quite match.
Oh yeah. You mean when I worked at the registry office?
Yeah.
I was in the registry office, and my job was to patrol the bottom of the building where all the records were. If you'd have had 6 wives, it was in a document somewhere downstairs, you know, under your name. So it was private and confidential information, you know. And the building was an old building. It was an old, you know, really old. It was there 16th, 17th century, you know. And I caught this fella where he shouldn't have been, you know. And he said to me, I said, what are you doing down here? And he went, I'm just admiring the architecture. I'm like, I'm following him. I said, you don't make buildings like these anymore, mate, you know. And he's going, no. He said, look at the craftsmanship and everything. And I've forgotten now why I've stopped him all the way. And he went, he said, I'm well educated, he said, and good sportsman as well. I said, really? He said, I've done a bit of boxing. He went, fuck off. Fucking hit me.
We box you in the face, like it.
So there's a panic button, I pressed the panic button. And the rest of the lads have come to the door upstairs because he couldn't get out, you know. And he said, what do we do? And I said, well, we'll kick fuck out of him, then we get the police, you know. But it was the way he went, no, he said, the architecture. And I'm like a dickhead. I'm like, one of you young lad going, oh, yeah. You don't make buildings like this anymore, mate, you know. And I'm a good sportsman as well, you know. Fuck off. I went, oh.
There's a job as one of your jobs as well. There was a receptionist that was asked out a lot by the sales reps. By all accounts.
Oh, bloody hell. Well, we had the girl who, she we say, if beauty is skin deep, she was inside out. And she had the sexiest voice you've ever heard in your life. But she had a face like a walnut whip. She was like a robber's dog. She had a face like a bag of spanners, you know. And the voice was something like this. She'd go, good morning, United Welding, you know. You can imagine people on the other end of the phone getting an immediate erection, you know, listening to this girl's voice. And there'd be people from GKN Steel and people like that, and they'd say, who are you? And she'd go, I'm Margaret. Margaret, when you come here, ask for me, and I'll deal with your order. And you imagine these fellas thinking about this gorgeous blonde beard or whatever, you know. Them knockers and everything else. They're probably getting carried away in their mind, you know. And when they turn up, we had like a frosted glass window in reception. And they'd open the window and they go, hey, can I speak to Margaret, please? And she'd go, hi, I'm Margaret. And they go, oh. You know? And she always used to talk them into taking her to the Oriole restaurant over the phone. This is like a really posh restaurant. So when they actually found out what she looked like, the meal at the Oriole restaurant went down to a pie and a pint in the pub around the corner, you know. And but she was a terrible liar, terrible liar. And she was a pisser, always on the drink, you know. And she'd turn up. She was due in at 8 o'clock, and she'd turn up 9:15, 9 o'clock, 9:15, you know. You wouldn't make love to this woman with a stolen dick, you know what I mean? You just wouldn't. And you just wouldn't. I mean, and she stunk even so blind people could date her, you know.
So look, I suppose you were always, by the sounds of it, you always had a quick wit and you were sharp with your tongue, and which is obviously good for a comic to have. But what kind of convinced you to take the next step and actually go on stage and become a comedian?
We were on holiday in Ibiza, and always the classroom clown, stay behind in the pub. I'd be the life and soul of the party. And it was the holiday in Ibiza where the fella left his company and sat on the end of the bed with us, with our company, with the lads. And at that time, I could carry a tray with about 10 pints on. You know, I was very fit. I was only a young lad, you know. And apparently while I was away getting the ale, and he said to the lads, he's funny as fuck. Him, he said, does he do that professionally? And he said, no, he just likes selling jokes. And he said, well, he's got a talent. He said, and if I was you lot, he said, I'd sign arrange a couple of gigs for him when you get home. He said, because he's a lot of money's waiting for him. He said, you know, he just needs to get a routine together. And I thought they were messing. And when we come home, they'd set it up where I went on a local social club. And I had my first gig, and there was the people there were a mix of scallies, you know, like and elderly people who were like, if you said the word fuck or shit or bastard, they'd get up and walk out, you know. And I didn't have a routine. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I wouldn't say I died on my ass, but it was a difficult gig. And only for a mate of mine, Eddie Melville, I was like, not in tears, but I was clearly upset. And he said, Gaz, he said, you know the score. Horses for courses. He said, you need a mix of material. He said, keep at it. You've definitely got it. And if Eddie hadn't have had that chat with me, I'd have probably packed it in that night. But then I started, every time there was a tragedy locally, like a family got burgled at Christmas and all the Christmas presents got robbed, or a house fire and lost all the furniture and that, and they were having a charity do to raise money, I'd offer myself up to do a spot. You know, they'd have a disco on and a comic, and eventually I got 10 minutes, then I got 15 minutes, then I got 20 minutes, you know, and I built it up, and I knew how far I could go with people now. I was studying it, you know what I mean? I was like, I was beginning to understand certain places you can't swear, you can't say this, you can't say that. You know, and of course, since then, it's got even worse now because of political correctness. You know, our job's extremely hard now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, with the recent woke culture and cancel culture and all that, it must be very difficult to consistently make jokes that pass the test, even though the guys or people who go to your gig probably have sense of humor anyway. So
well, I swear to God, I did the job for Rotary, and they're like people who were between 65 and 80. And I was word perfect in Southport, word perfect. Never one swear word all the way through. And I was ready for a standing ovation at the end because I knew how well I'd done. And at the very end, I went like that. I looked at my watch and I said, well, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to go now because I've got to get home in time to pay me cleaner. I said, I've got to pay me cleaner. And I said, she charges me £45 an hour. She said, but it takes 3/4 of an hour to hoover one rug. And I said, I think it's because she's a Slovak.
Oh, Slovak. Oh, okay.
But everyone clapped and everything else except for one German woman who come out the crowd. And she went, have you any idea what you have just said? She said, calling a woman Slovak is like calling an Irishman Paddy, an American Yank, an Australian Oz. It is very, very... Well, she fucking went off on one big time. And fucked the whole night up because I'd stormed it. I'd absolutely not one swear word, not one foot out of place till I said the word Slovak.
And but that's a nationality, like?
Yeah, Slovakian, you know.
Yeah.
I said it takes 3/4 of an hour to hoover one rug. I think she's a Slovak. This woman went fucking ballistic, and I mean ballistic. She went crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yes. And how do you deal with that then as a comic, like when you're being heckled? Like, how do you
apologize profusely and try and get them a bottle of wine or something, or soften the blow? Try and just say, look, I'm sorry, I'm uneducated. Educate me and all the bollocks that goes with it. I had no idea that was offensive, and I'm really sorry, and blah blah blah. And then they just tut and turn away and walk away from you. But it's the bad publicity that they take with them, you know. Imagine you go and tell another 10 people. You know, the lad with the short arms from Liverpool, he is disgusting. He mentioned about somebody being a Slovak. It is totally distasteful, you know. So I don't want anyone walking around with a bad opinion on me, but see ya.
Well, I suppose sometimes you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs, you know. So if 90% of people found it funny, I'd be kind of focusing on that.
Well, I work on an 80% ratio, Pat. If 80% of them like it, you're doing the job right. You're never going to please everyone.
Yeah.
Never, ever going to. Like, you know, some bastards who follow Liverpool don't like Nunes.
What's wrong with him? Fucking hell.
I wonder who they'd be.
Part of the support or the package for being a thalidomide victim. Sorry, I didn't mean that in a bad. For being a thalidomide survivor, or what's the right word? Victim, survivor,
Victim.
victim. Yeah, okay.
Victim, isn't it? They've developed a stupid word, thalidomide. Doesn't exist. Look in the Oxford Dictionary, thalidomide. You're the victim. If you look up in the Oxford Dictionary, the word victim, it says someone who has suffered from, and it tells you exactly an incident, an occasion, or whatever. It's us, we didn't survive anything, you know what I mean? We're here, but we haven't survived it. We're victims of it. We're victims. We can't wipe our own ass. We can't cook our own meals. We can't, you know, we can't do a lot. But we're getting through life. But we're still victims of somebody else's negligence, you know what I mean? And I just think it's an insult to suggest that we're survivors, because yes, we're still here. We've survived it. But we're suffering the consequences of it, and will do till the day we die.
What I was just coming to there was that there was a night where the police in Liverpool thought that you'd stolen a car belonging to the Thalidomide Trust. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it. We were working in the milk factory in Forge, and one of us was a terrible thief, and he knew that the security guards on the door wouldn't stop me. So he used to steal batteries out of Forge, and he put them in the back of the car. And I had nothing I could do. I couldn't do nothing about it. You know what I mean? I was only a kid, and somebody must have seen, you know, or knew that what he was up to, and so he lived quite local. So he made me drop him off at his house, and he took the batteries out the car. But the police obviously had been tipped off that my registration number was being used to move stolen batteries out of Ford. So I'm in the car on my own, and these two police cars come, but they were just unmarked cars. One at the front of my car, one at the back, so I couldn't move. And it was a Monday, because we'd been playing footy on a Sunday. It was pissing down, and all the footy kits were still soaking in the boot. They were going to wash house the next day. In fact, they were going to wash house that night when I got home from work. And the copper said, "Get out your car." So I got out the car, and he went, "Give us your keys." So I gave him the keys, and he went, he opened the boot. He said, "Stand there by the petrol tank." So he shook the kit everywhere, all the muddy kit and all that, and searched the boot, and there was no batteries, but they'd gone, you know. And he said, "What's the registration number of the car?" I said, "It's OAV 865R. And he said, "You've remembered that well?" I said, "I should do. It's my car." And he said, "It's not your car." He said, "What's your name?" I said, "It's Gary Skyner." He said, "But it's not your car." I said, "It is my car." And he said, "It's not your car. This car is registered to the Thalidomide Trust. And in Liverpool, we've got a joke shop called the Wizard's Den, where they sell all kinds of old people's masks and fucking arms and fucking umps on your back and everything else." And so he said, "It's not your car." I said, and he said, "It's registered to the Thalidomide Trust." And I said, "Lord, my hands up." And I went, it's my car. Where do you think I got these from? The fucking Wizards Den. And that was the sergeant said the young copper fucking pissed himself, laughing at those to say, as soon as you asked that question, I had a feeling he was going to fucking say that, you know, that was going to be his answer, you know.
There was a night that you were doing a gig in Burnley, and I didn't actually understand this in the book, but I'm guessing it was a night that it was after hours, is it? And the police came in and they raided the bar in Burnley,
Oh,
and you were inside in the wardrobe.
well, we were doing a live sex show, a strip show, and anyone who's been to these strip
You were
shows,
stripping, Gary, were you?
anyone who's been to these strip shows will know that the two birds come on, they do a dance, they strip off, pour baby oil on each other, and then they go off, and then they go round with a tray, or the comic goes round with a tray for extras, which is actual live sex, where they pick on someone in the audience to perform with them, you know. So we had like plastic bin bags over the windows of the pub, of the room upstairs, and it was a lock-in, you know. So I've just been round for the whip round. I've got enough money for them to do what they're going to do, and I could hear these police radios downstairs, and I looked through the bin bag, and I could see about 10 coppers downstairs with dogs. So I've gone, fuck this, I'm off. So it was like a 5-story building. So I've run up the stairs, and I'm in the quarters now of the people who own the pub, you know. So I'm looking for a hidey hole. I'm looking for somewhere to hide. There's a big wardrobe. So I've got in the wardrobe, got behind these dresses that stunk of looking now perfume, you know, like stale perfume and all that. But I closed all the dresses in front of me so you couldn't see me, you know. And I could hear all the fighting downstairs and the police arresting people, you know, and the dogs, row, 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 police radios and everything. And eventually the fucking noise died down. So I'm like listening and listening and listening, you know, and I thought, right, it's fucking safe to come out now. So I've opened this big wardrobe door, and the wardrobe's gone. And sat on the bed was a copper, and the fucking the inspector with the fried egg round his hat, you know, like the top man. And he went, I knew you were, he said, I seen you go. As soon as you seen us, I seen you go. He said, and I knew you were here. I had a pair of white baseball boots on, a pair of Bermuda shorts, and a t-shirt. On the t-shirt said, where the fuck is the beach? On the t-shirt. That was me doing me comedy act like that. And I said, I'm a punter. I shit myself. I see the lying bastard. He said, you were the comedian. You were the one who collected the money for the live sex. I said, I beg your pardon. He went, don't fucking lie to me. And he said, you know that we could do you for procuring, like, indecent acts in public. And I went, it wasn't me. He went, don't talk fucking stupid. He said, thank you, lucky stars. You've got these. He said, because these have just given you a get out of jail card. And they let me off. I thought, you know.
You kind of left that bit out of the book, you know. I was like, Jesus Christ, I didn't realize that was circumstances behind it.
Yeah.
But I suppose moving on from the comedy, you developed big time in the comedy. You made an appearance on the Jonathan Ross show back in 1997.
Yeah,
which is a great clip. I'll put the clip for that in the video description as well.
Yeah.
You're still available for gigs even now, like you still perform live on stage. So 35 years as a comedian under your belt.
Yeah.
There's good longevity there. I think it was an interesting one thinking about you there, Gary, growing up in mainstream society at Thalidomide, going to a mainstream school. And I think there was a part in the book where you mentioned that you distance yourself a bit from the other Thalidomide kids when you went on events with them.
Yeah, I didn't see myself. I didn't want to be like that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be pigeonholed like that.
Yeah.
I see myself as probably not disabled like that. Believe it or not, stupid that sounds, but I didn't see myself as that. And I think that's probably why I find it hard to cope with the amount of sacrifices that I've made to get extra money by campaigning and doing what I've done. And to get my own people who really don't like Gary Skyner, which is a crazy thing. I think they think I've done it to get self-glorification. And I've done it to get pounds, shillings and pence in everyone's pocket. And I'm the only one that had the avenue, the road to holding the people responsible to ransom, to make them pay mistakes. And I've done that very well. And to be honest, they've done, Diageo, Guinness have been fantastic with us. You know, they've paid us millions and millions of pounds that legally they didn't need to do, but they did need to be threatened to do it. They did need to be shown what you're doing is wrong. And luckily, the people of the upstanding people on the board of the Guinness are the ones who have said it's wrong. You know, right's right and wrong's wrong. And we, as a big company, as Guinness, as Diageo, we are not going to let these people suffer for the rest of their lives without doing something about it. We've got deep pockets and we're going to support them. And they've done wonders for us, Diageo. They had to be dragged to the bank screaming, but when they got dragged there and they understood what we were going through, and too pleased to help, and they're about to help us again in a big way, hopefully in the new year, you know, early in the new year. And I can't thank them enough. And a lot of that's down to, you know, the Earl of Ivy and the good people of Ireland as well, you know, the Dublin people, and you know, you've got St James's Gate. It's the national drink of Ireland. It's, you know, and they could have walked away from us, Pat, and I had to force them. I had to show them the difficulties we've got, but they were only too pleased to help after that. So hats off to Diageo for sticking by us.
And just to give an example, I suppose, of the links you went to, Gary, the sacrifices that you made, there's two main ones, I suppose. That one of your gags was that you were the first person in history to put on 6 stone after going on hunger strike.
That's it. I went on hunger strike and lost 2.5 stone in 32 days. But I do tell that. I say I put 6 stone on. I didn't. I lost it. One, a mate of mine gave me the idea. He said, as a publicity stunt, why don't you, because you're crazy enough, go down to their headquarters in High Wycombe, dressed as a baby, get a big nappy and a big plastic bottle, big baby bottle, and go and knock on the door and say, you know, I've come to, like, this needs to be sorted out, you know, with the Germans, with their UK office. And they arranged for the police to be there and everything, you know, they got threatened to be arrested and everything. But the police were just pissing themselves, laughing that I come out of they put up an outside toilet for me and a ramp. They didn't even understand my disability. They must have thought I was in a wheelchair, you know. And he said, you're not getting in our offices. So if you need the toilet while you're having your protest, we put a toilet outside with a ramp. And we've registered you with a local GP in case you're not well. And we've also paid for a travel lodge a mile away if you decide to call off your protest and you want a comfy bed for the night. I said, bollocks to that, I'm here for the duration, you know. But when the police said, no, we want you to end it now, move it on. We've done the damage because Germany sent a direction to say that they were going to send a contingent over to torture us. And since then, they've agreed to pay us 12.5 euros, 12.5 thousand euros a year, providing it's something that you buy for the relief of your disability, like adaptions for your car or adaptions for your house or a mechanical bed or a wheelchair or whatever, you know, but it's got to be for the relief of your disability. But that only happened because we went dressed as a baby down there, and they didn't want any more grief, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'll include some photographs of that so people can get a vision of it. But like, you were wearing a giant nappy and a big rattle and bottle at
Big
the back
bottle.
as well. I suppose what you're trying to get at there was the damaged babies.
Like we were no more emotive at the age of 57. As babies, you see a little baby damaged, everyone, it pulls at their heartstrings, but a big hairy-assed 57-year-old, it doesn't. I was just reminding them that we were once and it was you that damaged it, you know.
I know you said that they never really admitted liability, but I'm just going to read out here in your book the apology. I never actually heard something as ridiculous in all my life here, but I'm just going to read out a very short apology.
And me too.
This would have been in 2012.
It was Harold Stock who was the chief executive.
We also apologise for the fact that we have not found our way to you from person to person for almost 50 years. Instead, we have been silent, and we are very sorry for that. We ask that you regard our long silence as a sign of the silent shock that your fate has caused us. I've never actually heard such bullshit in all my life.
It's that's a mild way of putting a bullshit. It's because they would embarrass them, and I'm not. I don't want to sound like to your viewers like how great I am, but it needed someone with bottle to actually embarrass these bastards in public and get the media attention. And you know, the media is a very, very powerful thing, as you know, when you look at what they've done with COVID and God knows what else, you know. And I seen a route from A to B, and I went for it. And I would have hoped that my fellow victims would have carried me aloft and said, thank you. I've not had a thank you of one of them. A lot of them don't like me, purely and simply don't like me. You know.
Do you think? Yeah, I could tell from reading the book that you're quite fiery, as you said, and like if you put your mind to something, you do it, and could be seen as a maverick. You know, you challenge things. You challenge things that you're not just going to be happy with the status quo. And do you think maybe there could be a bit of jealousy on their behalf? You've had more of a mainstream life than a lot of them may have had.
I think it's 50-50. I think it's 50% jealousy, but I think it's 50% fear that what we've already got in the boat, they don't want me to rock, because I think they live in fear that if I take it too far, the whole plug will be pulled on us. When really, you don't have to be a Philadelphia lawyer to understand that would be the biggest own goal anyone could ever score, is to take every single penny off us that we've had to fight for. You know, that would sign your own death warrant. That would sign Diageo's death warrant. That would sign Cronital's death warrant. It would sign the UK government's death warrant. It would be the biggest own goal they could score. But these don't see that because they depend on the trust that much. They don't want anyone rocking the boat. And because I'm rocking the boat, they'd rather it didn't. And I can get my head down that, but I can understand that. But at the same time, they should sit down and think, look at the bank balance every April and say, that's only the way it is because of Gary. If Gary hadn't have done what he'd have done, we'd have run out of money by now. And that's a fact.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll sound like Rafa Benitez. Fact.
Speaking of, and that kind of moves on to the team, that one of the people you'd lined up, their unlikely ally, was the Gallagher brothers of Oasis. You want to tell us what you had planned?
Well,
as a PR stunt.
Should we say, the semi came on board, right? Mike Summerby, who played for Man City, and he was in the film Escapes of Victory. He was a great winger, you know, England international. And his day job now, even though he's in his late 70s, he looks after the corporate hospitality at the Etihad Stadium. And two of his customers, his clients, are Liam and Noel Gallagher. And I said to him, can you give them my number? Because I'd like them to take part in my boycott. And he said, well, I can't give you their number, but I'll certainly give them yours. And I thought that'd be the last thing I ever hear, you know. And I got this phone call, this Mancunian voice, and I said, all right, can I speak to Gary, please? And I went speaking, and he went, right, it's Noel Gallagher here. Mike, someone been saying, you want us to help you? What do you want? So I said, well, I want you to boycott the Agil's products. He went, fuck off. He said, our management will cut us for the fucking ankles. We can't do that. So I said, okay, but would you blag it? Would you tell lies? He said, yeah, we'll fucking blag anyone. He said, but if it gets heavy, we're out. So he said, what's the script? So I said to him, well, the Glazers have took over at Man United. You two are mad Man City fans. And if we call a press conference at the Etihad Stadium, which, well, it wasn't then, it was Main Road, and we have some thalidomide victims there in wheelchairs, etc. And we don't tell the press what the press conference is about. The press will think that you two are going to invest a lot of money in Man City. I'll turn up Fox, CNN, CBS, ABC, BBC One, BBC Two, ITV. Everyone will come, you know. And then when the cameras start rolling live, you two will say, well, we're not here about a takeover. What we're here for is that people who like Oasis and who are fair-minded people to not buy their products, you know. And he said, yeah, we'll do that, but if it fucking gets heavy, we're out. And when I rang the chairman of the Agio and told him what we were going to do, and have a press conference, he said, what's the press conference about? I said, well, put your telly on R5 on fucking Friday night, you'll find out. And he went, I don't get it. So I said, okay, I'll share it with you. And I told him what I've just told you. I said, you know, picture it. Wheelchairs, people who were badly injured, Noel and Liam Gallagher. We're not here about a takeover of Man City. We're here to ask people to stop buying these products. And he said to me, you're a bastard. I said, I'm glad we understand each other. I said, now go away and do what you've got to do. And he went away, and by 11:30 that night, he'd come up with 148 million.
Shit.
But since then, they put more money in. They've become, instead of being an enemy, they're working with us now. But it needed that. You get me? It needed that desperation. Some people call it blackmail. It wasn't blackmail. It was making people see how desperate we were to get listened to. You know what I mean? That's where we had to. I bought a share in a company so I could go to their ATMs and all that in London. I caused fucking mayhem in London, you know. But this is what you got to do. You've got to do it, or otherwise you get nowhere.
You got good support from Prince, the Nazim, the boxer.
When Naz went down there and offered the chairman out in the car park, and he said, I'm the Prince, and he said, get your chairman outside. And mobile phones were only Nokias then. You were just about starting to take photographs on your phone. And they gave pictures of Nazim Ahmed. And that's when the chairman phoned me and said, you know, you've got these would-be all-stars, Nazim Ahmed and Robbie Fowler and Michael Owen and, you know, and Paul Ince and Jamie Redknapp. He said, but we also have our friends in high places, you know. And it was when the Oasis twins come in, they knew that, like, it was going to get out of hand. And that's when it all got settled. That's when it got sorted.
Oh, that was nice to stick it to them. Speaking about football again, you almost signed for King Kenny when you went to Blackburn.
Oh, well, when the Premier League started in '92, I got an offer off Carlsberg, who were the then sponsor of the league, to take penalties on the pitch on the Saturday at Oldham versus Ipswich Town. at Boundary Park, and against Miss World. She was the come on with a dainty pair of little boots on and socks, and their goalkeeper fucking dived over the top of everything she kicked. And they told me I had to blast them wide, but I tried my best to score, but the bastard dived everywhere and saved me. But on the Wednesday, I was at Ewood Park, Blackburn versus Norwich, and Kenny knows me from years ago. And I'm stood outside the players' entrance with my boots. And he went, "All right, big man, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm doing this penalty shootout before the game." "Oh, I've not heard of that. When's this happening?" I said, "On the pitch." "Don't you know about it?" "No, I don't know nothing." So he says, "You're up for a laugh?" I said, "Yeah, fucking right now, yeah." So he says, "Come with me." So we went up in the lift at Blackburn, and we went in the boardroom, and he said, "Stand there, right, keep your boots in your hand." So he's opened the door, and Jack Walker was the chairman then, the big steel man. And he opened the door and he said, "Gaffer." And I heard him say, "What's that, Kenny?" And he said, "I've solved the goalkeeping problem." And he dragged me in the room like that. They were fucking bored, fucking pissed himself laughing, you know. And I beat Stephen Pinder, who played Max Farnham in Brookside. He was a big Blackburn fan. And I beat him 5-1 on penalties. I scored, 4-1 on penalties. I missed the last one because I placed the others because I used to study Phil Neal. We used to just place it inside the post. I scored 4 out of 4, and then all the crowd went, "Fucking blast it." So the keeper went boom over the bar, you know. So it was 4 out of 1. He only scored 1. I scored 4. If it had played, they'd had 5 out of 5. Like,
there's a great story as well when you were getting flying lessons and yourself and the trainer were flying between Anfield and Goodison Park.
Oh yeah, we had the producer. I've got to be careful. I won't mention her name because the Civil Aviation Authority might want to do it retrospectively, but you're not supposed to have anyone in the aircraft with you when you're learning, you know. And because they were filming us, we had the cameraman on board and we had the producer. She said, "I want to feel the ride, feel the sensation in a light aircraft, you know." So we said, "Well, it's a rock and roller day. That's where it's crosswinds and high winds and all that." So we got on the plane and we took off. And we flew to Llandudno and flew back. And on the way back, I said to him, "Can we buzz the tower?" She couldn't hear us because we've got headphones on and a mic. It's only me and him can hear each other. So I said to Norman, the tutor, "Can we buzz the 2 grounds?" So he said, "Well, that's the tower." So he said, "Yeah, EasyJet is off to the west and he's coming in. He'll be in our airspace in the next 15 minutes. He said, "So 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out, and you can do it." So he was a blue, I'm a red. And as we fly over fucking Stanley Park, I've gone like that. "Norman, this is where you should be on a Saturday." He went sideways like that. And he went, "Fuck off. This is where you should be, guys." Goodison, you know. And she's going, "What's going on? Is everything okay?" She's under this fucking blanket because there was cameras on the dashboard and all, you know. And
you can actually see her in the video as well on YouTube. You can see
the strap over the head, can't you? Yeah, on the thing. And when we landed, she had the black top on. You could see a bit of puke where she'd actually fucking thrown up a bit, you know. But she shouldn't have
going over and back.
We just said it was fixed cameras on the windscreen, you know, on the dashboard. You know, like car share. We told Civil Aviation we were putting cameras in, but we didn't. We had a proper cameraman in the back of the plane as well. It's long gone now, so don't fucking do us now. You're listening to this.
Another good, I suppose, PR stunt as you did for the Thalidomide survivors or victims was you swam Loch Ness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because Thalidomide babies were known as monster babies at the time. So that was your way of, I suppose, ironically swimming where a monster is supposed to live like, you know.
That's it. I actually wore a red bathing cap in case the fucking near one turned up. So they'd shoot the right one.
What was that like? What filming that documentary and how 60 years on, wasn't it?
Yeah, 60. That was 2018. That was when the drug came into being, which is 1958. So that was exactly 60 years to the day. 1st of September 2018, we swam like that. And that was an experience, that mate. Fucking wetsuit. 5 degrees Celsius. Fucking it's cold. Very cold. I had nothing left in my legs when I come out the water. Like,
Yeah, no, that's
I had a couple of safety crew who, in the end, had to rescue us because I just had nothing left, nothing left.
Ricky Tomlinson would have supported you as well during your campaign.
I've got a lot to thank Ricky Tomlinson for, a lot. And it's a shame that our relationship has sort of fell apart. And because life's short, I hope one day we find a way of correcting that. But right at this moment in time, I don't see that way forward, and it's sad. It's sad. But I have got a lot to thank Nicky for.
Yeah, no, and hopefully you will make it up at some stage, so because just from obviously I watched a lot of your videos, Gary, before this research the podcast, and he was in a lot of them, like the 2V, the Redmond TV, the banter. You bounce off each other brilliantly in that interview and stuff, So watching it, and I suppose knowing you weren't getting on the best, it saddened me that you weren't, because you made a good team, but whatever happens.
We were Keegan and Sosek, we were Dalglish and Rush.
You've done an awful lot for Thalidomide and for the survivors of Thalidomide and the motivational speaking as well. And as I said, I'm going to try to help you get as many gigs as I can, help you over here as well. If I can, I'll do everything I can to promote you on that. So I suppose, just moving on, I suppose you lost your mum in 2012.
Correct.
Yeah. It was strange reading the book. It's almost as if she had a premonition that it was the last time she was going to see you, because I think, did she ring you to come around to the house, and you were busy that night, you weren't feeling the best, and you sent Holly or Jessica over to...
Yeah, she said it every holiday, even the one when I was caught in her bed, all 8 years ago. She'd say, come and see your mum before I go away. Loosely translated, what she meant was, have you got any money for me? Give me a dropsy, a few quid spending money. But she used to say, it'd be nice to see you before I go away. In other words, give it a few quid. But she genuinely wants to see it. And she always used to say the same line, which was, you never know, Gary Skyner, this might be the last time you see me. She said it every holiday, And on this one occasion, it actually came true, And it was just devastating, I mean, I don't know, people who lose family members and they sit at the bedside and watch the cancer eat them away, and they know that the end is near, and they're ready for it. They're mentally prepared for the loss. But to actually, your mum goes away for a good time, and it was weird because the afternoon it happened. The living room in my house went freezing cold. And I remember me saying to my wife at the time, "Can you light the fire for me?" She lit the fire. I said, "That's not gone cold," and then the phone rang, and it was Stephen, me PA, and Sheila, my ex-wife. She just, no way. Oh, and I've sat up on the couch and I've gone, "Who is it?" And she went, "Shh, Stephen." Oh no, oh my God, and I can't hear you at the end, She put the phone down and I went, "Who was that?" And she said, "It's Stephen." And I said, "What's up?" And she said, "It's your mum. She's had a heart attack." And I was off the couch ready to go to Torquay. Said she had a heart attack at 12 o'clock today and she died at 1 o'clock. And I was just fucking empty. I didn't know where to put myself, And for the first time, the jinx that she put on herself came through, And it was just, and when me and Nicky, we worked in Bristol about 4 years ago, and we were doing 2 nights in Bristol, and we stayed overnight on the Friday. And I said to him, "We've got 50 miles to Torquay. We're not doing that this afternoon. Let's go and find out with the hotel where she died." And we went to the Belgrave Hotel on the front in Torquay, and they all remembered it because she dropped dead at the table, you know. And the chef who gave us CPR had only left a week before, and I went to say thank you for trying to save her, you know. And we sat and had a cup of tea at the table where she actually dropped dead, you know, Ricky.
Yeah.
Sitting there toasting her. "All right, Francis." You know, he said, "You could have told him you were going and all that," you know. She'd probably been up there laughing her head off, you know.
But like one thing, I just to show the consummate professional that you are, Gary, like that you did a motivational speech the day she died, the day after she died. It was booked, and you fulfilled the.
Well, so, and you know what, Pat? I forgot that she was on the tape. When I do the PowerPoint presentation, I forgot that she comes on the tape, and I got through it all right till the bit where she come on, and as soon as I pressed the button, I went, "Oh shit," you know. I knew I was going to hear her voice. I knew I was going to see her, you know, and I just cracked up. You know.
Well, understand, but you managed to.
I got through it, but I wouldn't let these people down. You know what I mean? Because it was a big event.
In the play, that scene is captured very poignantly. Like, you know, when the female actress that plays your mother is literally saying, "It's time I go now," you know, or "I'm going to leave you. You can, you know, laying the foundations, like, and you can carry on yourself." It's very beautifully written. Like, it's very moving, like, you know. And
where she talks to the pram.
Yeah.
And she says, "It's up to you now. You know, I've gone."
Yeah.
Very moving, and a lot of people cried, you know, Pat, in the night we won the award, the night we won, you know, best drama. The really, really powerful night. And have you seen the stuff Jimmy McGovern said on the podcast, on the video, the entrance and exit video?
I didn't actually, but
I've sent that to you.
Yeah.
So McGovern, to give it the bouquets he did, it was, you know, he said it's got controlled anger, it's got everything, you know. And that award obviously proved that we were the best drama out there in the festival, you know.
Yeah. No, and I suppose I have approached a couple of theatres over here as well about that, and getting it over here as well. So I'll try to.
That would be fantastic.
Well, we haven't mentioned the fact that you're married. You said to Sheila and you 2 daughters, Holly and Jessica.
Yeah.
Losing your rock. Your mother was your rock always, wasn't she, in your life?
She is. Yeah.
And losing your mum, things went under a bit.
Yeah. The girl I'm with now, Katrina, as nobody can replace me mum, but Katrina has gone 95% of the way in filling that void, which is a big ask and a big act to follow. And Katrina's done that. She keeps it in check. She makes sure that you don't go without, especially eating. I got plenty of that.
She puts you in your place as well. I've witnessed that at first hand. She keeps a leash on you, like, you know.
You've been witness personally to that, Pat. I'm with Cedar's for telling tales out of school. If we do take the play over to Ireland in the summer, it's obviously going to be a boring night out. Steve Brown tells me, your chauffeur, when you come over to the match, because he says that you're completely teetotal and you never touch a drop. I don't know whether my nose is just hit the screen.
Yeah, I do tend to go all or nothing. All right, after your mother passed away, you had some pretty tough times, some dark moments.
Yeah, I tried to do the most stupid thing anyone could ever do, which is to end it up. And I took 3 overdoses, and luckily, from divine intervention, just each time it failed because somebody somebody arrived before it was too late, you know. And I'm through that now. You know, it was a dark period. It was something I never thought I'd ever. From my doctor, Dr. Cook at the time, he used to come to a lot of my shows, you know, and he was booked up. This particular day, I'd gone in for an injection, and he went, see me in the waiting room, and he went, "Fucking get in here, you." That's how he used to speak to me, you know. And I went in his room, and I said, "I'm getting an injection off Dr. Baxter." He went, "You're fucking listening to me first." And he went, "I've just seen your medical records." He said, "You, Gary Skyner, you, the most positive person I've ever known in my life. You," and he called me a fucking idiot, you know. He said, "You're a fucking idiot doing that." And I said, "But you don't realise how low you get at times, you know." And I said, "It was like the psychiatrist on the night in the hospital said, I know exactly what's wrong. It was like being a champion boxer and you've took right hooks all your life and rolled with the punches. But on these 3 occasions, your opposition was that bit stronger and you got on the canvas and you couldn't get back up." And he said, "And that's the way it is. That's life." He said, "And sadly, you know," he said, "but luckily, you know, it wasn't the end."
As you said on stage after the play, you live to fight another day, which some people aren't too happy about. And I'm guessing some people in Kemi, Grunenthal, you're a dangerous adversary, so they haven't got rid of you just yet, like, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
no, it took great courage to talk about that. You know what I mean? And you had to.
yeah, I haven't finished yet. I haven't. If Grunenthal think the fat lady sang, she hasn't. You know, and there's another couple of rounds to go here. They've started making amends, but they haven't gone far enough. And
Where are you with the trust at the moment? Is Thalidomide Trust? Are you good terms or kind of?
they've just got friends in high places, mates, and they've done so many things wrong. They've lied and they've cheated, but because, you know, it's a bit like Hillsborough. You know,
A lot of parallels, actually.
yeah, when you're dealing with the establishment, you know, police officers changing statements, high court judges looking the other way, people sticking together like shit to a blanket. How can you possibly get justice in a system like that? You just can't. You can't, because, you know, they know no matter where you turn, they've got a buddy. I put it down to the Freemasonry. I've said that to the day I die. I think the Freemasons should be banned, especially in police and courts and legal stuff, because it's not a level playing field. You know, if you've got a mate in the hierarchy who gets told you disregard this complaint, it's never going to go any further. And unless you're in that gang, unless you're in that club, you're knackered. And they know you're banging your head against the brick wall, but the only thing they haven't bargained on with me is I'll keep banging and banging and banging my head till maybe I'll knock myself fucking senseless.
Well, I'm just going to read this out here. The chaplain that you did at a residential event just before you wrote the book said he had a message for you from God. And you were saying the gaffer's been in touch. And he said, "You know, you said in your speech you're a mistake, but you're not a mistake. God set you to carry this burden and to spread the word. And that's what he meant you to do. That's your mission. Spread the word about how evil can be overcome."
Yeah, that's it.
So you're the representative, like, you know. So
yeah,
just like your mum having you was the right woman had you, and you're the right man to carry the message.
he's given me it to show people that you can do anything, no matter what the odds are stacked against you. I believe that, honestly. I genuinely believe, because I'm so vocal, because I'm so noticeable, because I'm so locally well known and nationally quite well known, then I think that's because there's a message in me for people who can't cope or find it hard to cope. And I'm proud to carry that mantle, you know.
Well, every time I meet you, Gary, you inspire me. And, you know, the motivational speaking, I can picture you giving a very good motivational speech. You know what I mean? And, you know, I haven't had the pleasure of sitting in on one yet, but if there's any company or event that would like to book you, I'll put your details in the video description here. I'll put your website
If
and
you
that.
would, yeah. I mean, send them a brochure, and hopefully within the next few weeks and months, we're going to have, yeah,
There's my one there. Send
we're
them
going to have
over.
a video to follow that up. So we're going to do one free of charge for the NHS to say thanks for COVID-19 and use that opportunity to video the speech, and so people can see it working.
Very
And
good.
you know, it's not so much motivation; it's inspiration. How people you can see how many knockbacks you've had, and how many bounce backs you've had, and how many times you've come back from it. And never say never, never say die. You can't, you won't.
You've helped so many people. Before we let you go there, just the anecdote about Tommy Smith. Tommy Smith is one guy you helped. Now, from anyone who's seen the interview with Jake Abraham, we were talking about Howard Gale, the way that Tommy Smith treated him when he was playing for Liverpool. He didn't come across as the most pleasant individual to deal with, and you've got a story here that'll maybe confirm that.
Yeah, I started doing the sportsman's dinners when Tommy was speaking, and he always used to sweat like buggery while he was on his feet, and he used to like shuffle his feet while he never stood still while he was talking, you know. It was like he was transferring the weight from one knee to the other, you know. And when he come off stage this night, I said to him, if you don't mind me asking you, Tom, you know, what's the problem? I've noticed you can't stand still. You look like you're in pain. And he's sweating, and he said, my knees are knackered and all that. All the injuries I've had down the years and everything else. So I said, well, you can claim disability living allowance, you know. And he said, don't talk to your ass. I get £800 a night for speaking. I said, no, it's non-means tested. It doesn't matter what you earn. You can claim it. I said, John Paul Getty or the Queen Mother could claim it, you know. And he said, oh, tell me more. So I asked him for all his medical evidence, filled the form in for him and sent it off. Little did I know that the fellow at the other end who made the decision for the DWP was the biggest blue nose that ever walked the face of the earth. So when he's going through the medical evidence, Tommy Smith is a common name. But when he's reading the medical evidence and it's saying Tommy Smith fractured an ankle against Crystal Palace, tore ligaments against Arsenal, was carried off against Man United, he's looked at the papers and gone, this isn't Tommy Smith. This is the Tommy Smith, you know. And as much as he hated him as an Evertonian, he had to give him the money, you know. And then he come in my office, he said, fucking hell, he said, you've just sent me a check for a gyro for £3,000 and said I can get a car. I said, well, that's right. He said, you haven't told any lies about me, have you? I said, no, I'm just setting your medical records up, fine. So a fella rang me to do a gig before the 1996 FA Cup final in Cumbria. And he said, we want you to go on after the match. I said, well, I'm a Liverpool fan. I wanted to watch the game anyway. I said, but by the time I drive up there, you'll have all gone home. He said, well, come up early and watch the match with us. And when the match finishes, do your gig. So I said, okay. So I drove up. I meet me meal. And Brian Moore, the late commentator for ITV, I've got my head in my plate. And he said, there'll now be a celebrities penalty shootout between Liverpool and Manchester United ex-players. And the first taker for Liverpool will be Tommy Smith. I went, fucking hell. And I looked up and he slammed the ball past Alex Stepney and done a 50-yard celebratory run and jump, punch in the air, you know. So you can imagine this Evertonian who's given all this money from the DWP has gone, oh, fucking hell, there is a God. And he sends his Secretary of State's right to take the benefits away if he's got any evidence. And he took the money off Tommy and he come in my office, burst the door open and he said, have you told them I'm getting fucking better? I said, I don't tell anybody anything. It's private and confidential. And he said, I said, why? And he said, they've took all the money in the car off me. So I said, no. He said, how come? So I said, no, this is only an outside guess. But you think it might have something to do with 70 million people watching you take a penalty live at Wembley on fucking Saturday? And you know what he said? He said, do you think so? Okay, then. But then I started the appeal process and I represented him, and he'd had a crash in the car and he was in a cage. He literally had a cage with his spine was damaged in the crash. So when we went to the appeal, Granada Television rang me and said, Tommy was pulled out the car on the night of the crash by these two lads who were working by the court in Manchester for where we were having the appeal. And he said it would make great TV if they met Tommy on his way into the court and said, we're the lads that pulled you out the car and we wish you all the best in your appeal. I rang Tommy and told him what I've just told you. I said, so will you let them meet you on camera? And he said, tell them to fuck off. And the lads saved his life. The lads pulled him away from the car that could have burst into flames, you know.
What a prick.
That summed him up, you know. He was an angry man. He was an angry man on the pitch. He was an angry man off the pitch. But a great footballer, a great leader, and a great captain for Liverpool, you know.
And Howard Gale actually was from not far from Toxteth. He was from Toxteth. You're from Toxteth. You grew up in Toxteth. And Thomas Pitt used to bully him on the pitch, or used to bully him in training. And one day Howard Gale said to him, one of these nights you're going to get up in the middle of the night to take a piss, and I'm going to be in your toilet standing over you with a baseball bat, and we'll see what you got to say then.
Yeah.
You know? And he kind of left him off.
Actually did the dinner with Howard a few weeks ago. Charity do for Sammy Lee's. Sammy Lee's got a relative with a very sick baby who's only got 2 years to live. And we raised £27,000 in an afternoon. And it was Howard was there. He was mentioning about me and Tommy, and you know, he mentioned that incident. Like,
very good.
I had a bit of a scare. I went for it before I leave it tonight. I went for a prostate examination this morning, and they tell you to bend over the desk, you know. And they give me a gown with a hole in the back. It must be short of money, the NHS. And this fella come in with the white coat on and put the gloves on. You can hear the gloves go. He said, bend over the desk, and he stuck one finger up, and I went, oh, okay. And then he stuck 2 fingers up, and I went, oh, okay. And you'd have to make conversation, don't you, at that point? So I just turned on, I said to him, are you on Twitter? But I'll poke it on Facebook. Anyway, so he put a 3rd finger up, and then he pulled them out, and he took the gloves off and threw the gloves in the bin. And he walked out the room just as the nurse walked in. And the nurse said the 3 words that you never want to hear in a situation like that. She said, who was that? Wasn't the doctor. Hey, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure tonight, and I'm sorry I wasn't available over the weekend because it was bad.
Don't worry. What's your plan for the future?
Plans for the future is to be happy to conquer Ireland. I want to come to Southern Ireland. I want to come to Cork. I love Killarney. I love the Southern Ireland people. I love Ireland, full stop. I think the crack squad, you know, the lovely people. They like the sport. They like it. Certainly like it. Unfortunately, you don't. No, but I want to live a long life. I want to lose weight. I want to get my knees operated on. I want to spread the word a bit more, and I want to be known as not the disabled Gary, but as Gary, the fighter, the courageous, the campaigner, the champion. I want to be the disabled champion, and I want everyone The last thing I want on my gravestone is Eli's a shithouse.
And as you say on your website, they may not be as long as everyone else's, but you're in good hands when it comes to comedy and what.
That's a fact. I'm amazed at the amount of research you've done into me, mate. I'm convinced you are a fucking Russian spy. You do look a little bit like Putin as well.
I've heard though. So.
Every now and again, you look like Putin.
I'm warmer than him, though. I'm warmer than him.
Yeah,
so Gary, thanks a million for coming on.
My absolute pleasure, mate.
So we're going to hopefully see more of Gary over the next while. We're always welcome to come on to give a bit of analysis and praising Darwin Núñez on a weekly basis if you want. Like we want to be forming a new fan club for him sooner rather than later. So we'll have Gary on waxing lyrical about Núñez. But on a serious note, Gary, as I said earlier on, you inspire me every time we speak, and it's been, I know, thank you for your time as well, because this has gone on a while. So
I'm off to bed. Love to everyone who's watching. Love to Ireland.
So thanks very much, Gary, for coming on. Thanks to you guys for tuning in.
I'm off to bed, and no doubt we will speak this week. Thank you very much. I'm flattered at the time you've took and the airtime you've given me. Thank you very much indeed.
We'll see you next time on the Parallel Padre podcast. Good night. God bless.
Okay, pal. Good night. God bless.